Are you a CrossFitter who's been doing CrossFit for a while and still don't have pull-ups? Well, you might be doing too much of this one movement that you think is helping, and it's actually not. Stick around for the rest of today's video to find out what that is and what you can do to fix it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Excellence in Motion, and today we're talking about why you still don't have pull-ups. Pull-ups are a staple gymnastic movement in CrossFit. It represents the ability for you as an athlete to control your own body weight against gravity in a pulling motion. Being able to grab onto an object and manipulate your body weight to move along that object is a great way to transfer that skill out into life, and especially in survival situations for professions like firefighters, police officers, and military. The pull-up is also just one of those movements that everybody wants to be able to say that they have. When they don't have it, they try to scale down and do other movements that are going to build up the muscles that allow them to do more pull-ups. And sometimes that's where we get in trouble. In CrossFit, it's very, very common for, in a workout, to modify the movement of pull-ups with something completely different. The most common modification that I see for pull-ups is ring rows. And let me just say, ring rows are a fantastic training modality. It's not a movement that should be removed from your training, especially if you're somebody who doesn't have pull-ups yet. You should still be doing ring rows, but not as a modification for pull-ups. And here's why. Ring rows and pull-ups are both pulling movements, but are in two completely different planes of motion. As you can see from the movement on screen, the ring row is a much more narrow pull, starting from straight out in front of the chest and squeezing the shoulder blades to pull the rings in nice and tight into your body. This is also mimicking the plane of motion that we like to see with push-ups and other barbell pressing movements when we move the shoulder into more flexion. Pull-ups, on the other hand, are different. When we do a pull-up, we're moving the arms out into a horizontally abducted position, and we're activating more of the lats to pull the body up instead of the rhomboids and the scap retractors to pull ourselves close to the rings or the bar. So when looking at the two movements side by side, it doesn't really make sense for us to scale down to ring rows in a workout for pull-ups because they're two completely different planes of motion and actually two completely different movements. And I know what you guys are already saying. In workouts that have a high volume of reps, being able to do ring rows as a substitute for pull-ups allows people to get in that volume. Here's my response to that. As a coach, it's my job to be able to modify for people in loading, and in loading with gymnastic movements that either looks like repetitions or the movement itself. Anybody who's done a high volume of ring rows will tell you that it's no easier than doing a high volume of strict pull-ups. You're still using muscles to have to pull yourself up against gravity, and it makes it a little challenging over time if those repetitions are really, really high. And it doesn't really transfer well into developing pull-ups in the long term. So, with the notion in mind that ring rows and pull-ups are completely separate movements, what do we do to scale for pull-ups if people don't have them in workouts? I've come up with 3 of my favorite modifications for the pull-up that actually transfers into the movement itself down the road that you can use starting from the easiest going up to more of the hardest. The first of these modifications is a seated lat pull down. In a CrossFit gym, you're way less likely to find an actual lat pull down machine. So my jerry-rigging for this movement is actually to find a low enough bar that you can put a resistance band on and grab either a training bar or a PVC pipe and set yourself up in a position to do a lat pull down. You can see from this movement on screen that sitting on the ground and grabbing this bar and pulling down in the motion of a pull-up is a great way to develop the same muscles that you'll need to use later on for the full pull-up itself. The next step up from there is jumping negatives. With this movement, you're gonna find a bar that's a little bit out of your reach, and you'll jump up all the way up to the top of the bar in that pull-up finish position. Here, your strengthening and your practice comes with the negative down. I want you to count to 3 as you slowly lower yourself down to the bottom position. This activates the muscles in the opposite direction of their contraction. This is called eccentric motion. The muscles are firing, but they're lengthening at the same time. We jump all the way up to the pull-up bar, slowly lower ourselves down, and we're actually developing the muscle fibers necessary for creating that motion later on. The third and final modification is strict banded pull-ups. Here we can use a thicker resistance band set up on the pull-up bar, step into it with our feet, and allow the band to actually assist us in heading up in the pull-up motion. We're still activating the same muscles. We're using them in a way that's going to transfer over into a full body weight pull-up, but the band is just giving that little extra assistance and helps us to do more reps in more time. What you will notice on this list of movements is I'm talking about things that help build up your ability to do a strict pull-up. I'm not talking about butterfly pull-ups, and I'm not talking about kipping pull-ups. The real reason behind that is I believe you should do 10 strict pull-ups consistently well before you attempt to do any sort of gymnastic kip. The reason I talk about this is because if you don't have the prerequisite strength and stability in your shoulders to handle high velocity movements like a kipping pull-up or a butterfly pull-up, you shouldn't be doing it. That's just an injury waiting to happen, and we don't need to do that if we are in CrossFit for the longevity piece of it. Even still, if you're a competitive CrossFit athlete and you don't know how to do 10 strict pull-ups and you have a ton of butterfly pull-ups, I would encourage you to back everything off, start strict, and build up from there. So that's it, guys. If you want to improve your ability to do pull-ups finally, stop doing ring rows and start with some of these other modifications in your workouts and in your own practice time. And you'll be surprised by how quickly you're able to really build up the strength necessary for completing your first pull-up. Keep doing your ring rows though. Don't take them out of your training. They're a great training tool to develop your back, keep your shoulders stabilized, and work on those narrow pulling motions. They're just not going to transfer over super well into the actual pull-up. Thanks for watching today's video. Hopefully that was educational and helpful. If you like these types of videos, you can click on more of them over here. And until next time, go out and do good things, and don't forget to move. I'll catch you guys later.